as I head over to the forest garden and go to check on the grapes, I wanted to take a quick peek and show you this section here of the rain garden. We have prairie dropseed growing in here, and at this time of year, it's this, aren't these pretty? This smells so good. A lot of people think it smells like buttered popcorn. Some people think it smells like cilantro, which are two completely different scents, but I guess it depends on the plant or depends on our noses. Kind of like things can taste differently, but just wanted to show you because it's a really pretty native plant. It's one of my favorite native grasses to add to the garden or landscaping, and it just smells so good. So here we are at the forest garden. This will be our September forest garden tour. And we'll see how different things look in here this month compared to last month. We're in the golden hour right now. We have a beautiful sunset, so the garden is kind of aglow. It looks beautiful. I've been checking on these grapes the past couple times that I've recorded, and they've been green and green, and the last time it looked like they were just starting to ripen. So I was really anxious to get in here and take a peek and see if we have any purple ripe grapes. And you can see here we have some are still green. There are other sections with lots of purple grapes that are ripe. So that's really exciting. Of course I had to taste a couple. So they were delicious, very sweet, very tasty. And what I'm going to do, oh hello, these little guys snacking too. Some are actually past ripeness, and that's what these yellow jackets are in here snacking on. Some are not ripe yet, so they don't all ripen at the same time. But look at these beauties. I'm really excited because I was worried that I'd get out here since they were ripening. I was worried that the chipmunks and squirrels and birds would beat us to them and I wouldn't get any grapes. So looks like I will be able to harvest a few, which is exciting because I'll be able to show you something fun to do with them. So here is my beautiful harvest. I didn't take too many. You can see this basket isn't even really very full. I left plenty for other people to harvest, plenty for the birds, the chipmunks, the squirrels, and the yellow jackets who were willing to fight me for them. So this is a really beautiful harvest. I don't want to take too many. We always want to harvest respectfully. Leave enough for others, everyone's fair share. And but we're going to do something really fun with these, and I'm excited to show you. Okay, so let's take a look at the garden in September. See how it's looking and what we've got going on in here this month. So of course I have to come over here and check on the pear tree. Every month I was watching those last couple little pears that were on the tree, and unfortunately now they're gone. So I don't know if someone harvested them or if that someone was a chipmunk or a squirrel, but I see no fruit left on the tree, so that's unfortunate. We do still have tansy blooming. We do still have, so there's some blooms. We do still have some beautiful rose hips in there. I'll get a closer view of those so you can see a little better. See a few of the cranberries over here. Again, not an actual cranberry. This is a viburnum. We call it a high bush cranberry. The berries are treated the same way and eaten the same way. This is our nanny berry. I don't see berries there. We have lots of seeds here on these hollyhocks. Those are great to save and then plant again. Lemon balm is all coming back beautifully after we had cut it back when it started to flower, because it does spread quite a bit. Our baby pawpaw tree is looking nice. It's doing well. And hostas. We've got, let's see what's going on over here. So the hops are looking great. Here's our, so this is a kiwi. This is a hardy kiwi. And then these different leaves, these are the hops that we have growing in here. And so you can see these cones. Those are looking really nice. Lots of them up here. And then quite a few of them are also drying. They can be used for different things at different stages, so depending on what you want to use them for, that will determine if you want to pick them while they're still green and dry them that way, or if you want to wait until they've already dried and started to turn brown on the vine, and then you pick them at that stage. Our elderberry bushes, the harvests there are done. This right up here, this is ironweed. It's a favorite of butterflies. So is the goldenrod. As you can see, we have a lot of goldenrod blooming right now, which looks really pretty in the garden, and it's a wonderful later season nectar plant for our bees and butterflies, for all of our pollinators. Got some blue flowers, lobelia going in there, our marshmallow, or swamp rose mallow. This is seed pods on these two, very similar to the hollyhock, but they are smaller. You can see the willow structure over there. That's looking nice. And to show you this, if you've never seen a pawpaw fruit before, there's our pawpaw tree, or a large shrub or small tree. This is a pawpaw fruit. These are native to the area. It's kind of interesting looking fruit. I'll cut one of these open too so that you can see it if you've never seen one before. I'll do that once I'm indoors. Stepping over our bridge, which goes over our wet area there. This is our rain garden area, and we have plants growing along the edges there that like the moisture. So that's a good spot for them to be. Speaking of bees, we've got some visitors to the goldenrod. As I mentioned, great late bloomer for our pollinators. Well, here's one of our mallows that's still blooming. Oops, it's blowing in the breeze here. Let's see if I can get it still so you can see that pretty flower. Isn't that gorgeous? It's really nice. And we also have some obedient plant that's blooming over here. It's another one of my favorites in the garden. It always looks so pretty. Here's a better view of the willow structure, or willow teepee. You know, it's a favorite of, the kids love to go in there, but I mean, I have to be honest, so do the adults. It's such a cool space. So many people say, oh, I would love to just, lay down a blanket and have a picnic, or sit down and read a book under there, take a nap. It's a really fun spot. Crossing our next little bridge over our swales here, our stone bridge going across. And we'll see what we see on this side. Look at these beauties. It's interesting that these are blooming now. Most of them are done. This is the elecampane. Here are the big leaves underneath. So that's what it looks like when it's blooming. And more mallow, ironweed, goldenrod, and I see some other purple flowers peeking at us from over here. Right here we have catmint. There's also yarrow, and you can see blackberry in there. We've got thornless blackberries. But over here I wanted to point this one out. These are asters, and that's another fantastic flower to have that blooms in the fall, gives you fall color and some nectar for the bees and our butterflies, so they have food after we hit that peak season when everything blooms so prolifically in July. Once we get into August and September, then we don't have quite as many things blooming, so it's really important to make sure we include in our gardens some things that are. So since I pointed out the goldenrod, I should also point out that we have different types of goldenrod in the garden. This one here, if you notice these leaves and flowers, the way they form in these little clusters like this. These look, let's see if I can, it's holding up the flower. I can't hold the flower and focus. There we go. So these look different from these right here. So see how those are kind of, they have a plume almost of yellow flowers, whereas these are in this little cluster. These have narrow leaves, and these have a much different shape. So these are two totally different kinds of plants, but they're both goldenrods. And this one I thought someone before had said was showy, and I'd been thinking of it as showy goldenrod this whole time, but it may be canadensis. And this one I believe is a stiff goldenrod. So two different types in the garden. And what else do we have? So these pretty white flowers over here. That looks like a white snake root. Let's see what else we have over here. I just noticed something in, so these, we've got these purple flowers here. This is the obedient plant that I mentioned. And those are producing seeds, which is great. There's another purple flower in here though. These are hyssop. So those are licorice flavored. It's an anise hyssop, and they have a really sweet flavored leaf, and they taste like black licorice, which is not everybody's cup of tea, but you can use them to make tea, and I think it tastes really good. So in with the obedient plant and the hyssop that we see there, going just to the side. There's more goldenrod blowing in the breeze, which looks really pretty with this whole backdrop, all those white flowers there of boneset. That's a tall boneset. And again, here's another comparison. Here's this type of goldenrod compared to this type of goldenrod, and you can see how they're very different plants. And there are many, many types, many varieties. Good thing I looked down as I was looking up at these beautiful flowers. I glanced down just to check my step, my footing. Here's some comfrey over here. And I discovered what looks like maybe somebody's home. There's a hole in a tunnel. Somebody's living in there. Not sure if they're home right now, but we'll leave them to it. Over here we have feverfew. And these are fading now. They're kind of, they're done making berries, but we've got some thornless raspberries in this section as well. This sea of mint over here, which the bees also love. We've got lots of bees in here in the mint. This smells so good just walking past this section, because there's just so much of it here. There's a big clump, and you walk past and brush up against it a little bit, and it just smells really good. I wish I could rub the leaf for you and have you smell it, but also just look at the pretty flowers. What a really nice ground cover. Sometimes people don't like that it spreads too much, but if you don't mind, you can just pull the extra and either compost it or use it for chop and drop or make a tea, dry it, share it. There are all kinds of uses for it, and if you have too much, even if you're not going to use it to eat it, it's still worth having, in my opinion. I just really like it a lot. And sometimes when we want a space to be filled, that's the idea behind a ground cover. I mean, what better plant could you have? It'll definitely do the job. It won't be lazy about it. I'll just walk down the path here and bring you with me so you can see. There's more comfrey. We have geraniums at the base of this tree. We have zinnias, and this is fun. We did this as a class a couple months back. I passed out seeds for annuals and just had everybody go around, and wherever there was maybe an empty space where we could tuck in some annuals here and there, we just dropped some seeds in the soil, and no one has been watering them or doing anything to care for them. They were pretty much on their own, but we had a lot of really nice little surprises that popped up. So these zinnias are one of those things. So that was really nice. Over here we have a St. John's wort. It's past the stage of flowering now, but it gets really pretty yellow flowers on it. There's more tansy. We can go down that way toward the rose bushes maybe in a minute. There were butternut squash in here, but looks like someone picked them. They're gone. Looks like they're all gone. I don't see any. There are still some beans in there, and tomatoes. Definitely have some nice ripe cherry tomatoes in here. onions look good. Those are our walking onions. Over here you can see some of the beans on the vine here. So those yellow ones there are dried. We can save the beans for seed. And then there are still some green beans on the vine as well. Let's go take a look at the roses. So these are the flowers. This is Rosa rugosa. And these are the rose hips. Look at those. They are big and beautiful. This is a fantastic variety for rose hips. Beautiful flowers throughout the whole season and beautiful, big, plump rose hips. Over here we have some black-eyed Susan. We have cone flowers that are mostly done, but there are still some blooms. Here's more lemon balm. Again, we did cut this all the way, almost all the way to the ground. We cut it all the way back as it started flowering so it wouldn't spread too much because we already have plenty. And, you know, it grows back just quickly and with this beautiful, lush, fresh growth that's just like how it looks in the springtime. So it's really nice. Over here in the herb spiral, we have calendula that decided to make an appearance. This was another one of the things we had seeded a little bit late. There was some last year and it typically reseeds itself, but sometimes, you know, it's also possible too that people come in and helping weed. Sometimes when plants are very small, we can't always tell exactly what they are, and they could have been mistakenly pulled, or who knows what happened, but we weren't sure that we would have any here, so we were pleasantly surprised to see that we do have some calendula. Here's some borage that has escaped the spiral walls there of the stone. Borage over here. Again, more of that beautiful aster. There's more hyssop. This is what those borage flowers look like. It's like little blue stars. Right here. There we go. And those are edible flowers, and they taste a little bit like cucumber. Here's some hyssop and sage. And let's see what else we've got going on over here. Come around this side. So more mint, these beautiful asters. Oh, and then behind the asters, we've got another type of coneflower. It's a cutleaf coneflower, I believe. Here are hazelnut bushes. Look at these cool little catkins under here. Aren't those cool? There's milkweed for our monarchs. And I saw a pod on the ground just a minute ago that was full of fluffy white fluff and seeds ready to blow away on the breeze. So you can see it's a very creamy looking custard type of a texture, and it actually has been described as having a custard-like flavor as well. So it's kind of like a vanilla custard. Some people say vanilla banana. Some people, you know, describe it as having a little bit of a flavor of pineapple. It definitely has kind of a vanilla custard mixed with some sort of tropical fruit. It's hard to pinpoint that flavor. You know, it has its own flavor. It just tastes like a pawpaw, but it definitely is like a vanilla custard mixed with some kind of tropical fruit. So I think it's delicious. When it's cut open like this, I like to just get a spoon and just scoop this all out and eat it with a spoon. You can make all kinds of things with it though. People bake with it. You can make puddings and custards. You can make ice cream, all kinds of different things, but I just really like to eat it just as it is, just eat it fresh. It has these large seeds, and you can just eat the fruit around those. And then I like to save the seeds to try to plant them later, but that'll be a whole nother video. There's a little bit of a process to that. But you can see that they're big enough that it's possible to just eat around them very easily. And then speaking of saving the seeds and planting, though, this is a wonderful fruit to add to your garden, especially if you're planting an edible garden, an edible forest garden. And if you want to try to support our native plants, insects, wildlife, the pawpaw is a native species to where we are in Illinois, so it's a really wonderful addition to the garden. It's a small tree or a large shrub, and it's the host plant for quite a few butterfly species, and just it's a really nice addition to your garden.